The views and opinions expressed on Lifeguards Off Duty are those of its hosts and guests exclusively. They do not represent any entity, organization, or municipality.
Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Michael Kachmar.
I'm Tyler.
And I'm Sean.
And this is Lifeguards Off Duty with Dr. Michael Kachmar, the Jersey Shore #1 lifeguard-themed video podcast.
Watch us on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and Facebook Live. Listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or whatever streaming service you prefer.
If you would like to contact us, send an email to drkachmar@icloud.com. Follow us on Instagram at lg.association.
All right, let's get started.
Let's start the show.
Let's do it.
She said they're gonna lock you up for killing me tonight. And then I bit her lip just a little bit harder. Well, I was so sure it wasn't real. But she's afraid of ghosts, now I'm sleeping in her room.
Hitting the wires in front of you. Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Michael Kachmar. Welcome to Lifeguards Off Duty. Today's date is March 22nd, the year of our Lord 2022. And we're here. We're excited. We have a guest today who I'm very, very excited about. He came all the way from South Jersey to visit us. We have
I
also.
thought we were in South Jersey.
Well, yeah. Well, actually, we're in the middle of Jersey.
I call it Central Jersey.
Right. We have Tyler here. We're gonna have a call in a few minutes from one of the supervisor down in Miami Beach, where the spring break is exploding right now. It's been crazy down there.
Madness down there, huh?
Yeah, they had some shootings, and they had what was really tragic. They had 4 West Point cadets who OD'd. They didn't die, supposedly. I haven't followed up. OD'd on fentanyl-laced cocaine, and I wanted to. Somebody was saying that they actually got OD'd on it because they were doing CPR. So I don't know if that's controversial. I don't know if that's the case. I don't know if you could really get it if somebody sniffed it, and unless you get really close. They say the cops, you could touch it and you could get it. I don't know if that's a misnomer or not. So
I heard a story once about a police officer who got to a crime scene and did like a dry shave beforehand because he wanted to, look clean cut.
And he got it through.
And then went into a warehouse where there was like acid everywhere and ended up like.
Yeah, I don't know. We're going to do a little research. I mean, I don't know about you, but I mean, do you know? Like, here's the deal. We go down on our beach. We get called down for people who pass out. We've had a couple who OD'd on heroin. Now, what if somebody goes underneath the pier or in their blanket, sniffs some cocaine that's laced with fentanyl? Fentanyl, as you well know, is very dangerous. They pass out. They code. I go down there. I start CPR. What danger am I? I'm not going to do mouth to mouth.
I think this is a good segue to introduce our guest.
Well, we got Jerry's going to call in one second.
Well, let me just give Rusty a quick. So our guest today is Rusty Silverman. He's most known right now for your photography. You have a book called Lifeguard Art. It's available only online, or is it in bookstores?
It's not in bookstores. It's just on my website,
which is
lifeguardart.com.
Lifeguardart.com.
Yeah.
But you spent a good amount of time back in the late 60s and 70s as a doctor on the beach in Atlantic City.
Not exactly right. So So I had a summer job when I was in medical school.
Okay.
So it was one season.
Okay.
The Atlantic City Beach Patrol had medics at each of their tents.
Oh, wow.
And our main job was just taking out splinters and learning from the lifeguards and having fun on the beach all day long.
Okay.
I do have a little funny story, though. I mean, every once in a while there's an emergency. Never as bad as what you just talked about, Mike. But I get called out, and I run with my doctor's bag, and it was over by Steel Pier, and there's a big crowd around. Somebody's lying on the ground, and I take my Epsom salts out of my bag, and I started putting it around the guy's nose. And the policeman next to me says, "Doc," he says, "you got to take the cap off." Anyway,
so you were learning.
I was a medic. I was a sophomore in medical school, and that was my exposure to medical stuff on the beach.
Okay, and that that summer on the beach at, what was it? I have this written down. What avenue was it?
This was the States Avenue tent in
States
Atlantic City.
States Ave tent.
Yeah,
Yes.
right.
That gave you a real love for lifeguarding?
Well, my love for lifeguarding came from when I was a kid,
Okay.
because we always got to, friends with the lifeguards and same beach every day. And, as you guys know, you get to know people and, you appreciate and admire what they do and have fun with them, going out and swimming and, being their practice, throwing out the donut to the little kids that are swimming around, junior lifeguarding, so we appreciated the lifeguards from an early age. And I continue to appreciate the lifeguards. It's changed a little bit. I think that, with my medical practice, which was a wellness, fitness and nutrition program, I really got to see the fitness level of the lifeguards, and that's pretty incredible. I don't know whether you guys ever done VO2 max testing, but it measures how your body is utilizing oxygen, and you want to see a really fit guy. Find one of these lifeguards that are, rowing 2 miles and then jumping out of the boat and going for a swim, and these guys have high VO2 maxes.
I've never even thought about that.
Oh yeah. They did a lot of after Mark Spitz, they did all these studies with these guys. They did muscle biopsies, and there's a lot of exercise and training physiology out there. You could spend hours and shows on that. It's pretty interesting stuff.
Right.
Yeah, when I did my training in Philly, we got into that pretty heavy duty, but that's good. So you did that. Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah. But I like that you did the trauma down there. You had some good time, or hung out with the lifeguards, taking splinters out. I tell you what, we don't do that anymore. We're not allowed, believe it or not. You can't touch the people, but we've had a lot of splinters. Here comes the call. Let me see.
Is this Jerry?
Yeah.
All right, let's see what's going on in
Jer?
Miami Beach.
Hello. Let's see if we can get this. Hello. Yeah, we're trying. Keep talking. Let's see.
Hey, hello, Mike,
hey,
Jerry.
Hey, there you are. Hi, Jerry. How are you?
Still alive, still breathing, and doing okay.
Good. I guess you worked today on the beach?
Yes, I did. Another wonderful day on the beach. A day at the beach is better than any other day anywhere else.
Well, that's good. Well, we have a guest today, but we want to ask you. We hear all the stuff on the news here, shootings and overdoses, and you guys are closing the town down because there's too many people coming in. So what's the real news down here? What's going on? How bad is it down there?
The reality is, spring break has always been a gathering of people in South Florida and other places. And Miami Beach has always been, along with Fort Lauderdale, two places that have really attracted the spring break crowd. And for us on the beach, it's not really a factor. Yes, the crowds are here. The only thing I could say to make it comparable to our seasonal people is think of your 4th of July crowd every day.
Wow.
Wow. And it keeps us busy. As far as the issues, as you said, the shootings and that's the overnight stuff, which I really give credit to our police department, fire rescue, that have to really deal with some really unfortunate situations. And in my opinion, whether I'm getting old or whatnot, it's just bad behavior being amplified. What do I mean by that? Everybody now wants to put something on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram.
That's
Everybody wants to see themselves in the middle of a scene, which is crazy, and it's just plain bad behavior. Where that comes from, I don't know. Hopefully, it's not something that's going to continue to occur. But the city has said we're done with it. We can't continue like this. Last year was pretty serious too in regards to the same situations, and this year they just said that's it. And so we'll go in what's called the state of emergency. They'll have all sorts of ramifications in regards to curfews and stuff like that.
Wow.
But from the beach side, we're dealing with just large crowds. The oceans, we just hit 80 degrees, so anybody coming from anywhere else is loving it.
Wow.
Unfortunately, the weather hasn't cooperated with us with the east winds, so we are involved in with some serious rip current conditions and stuff. But so far, we've been very lucky. I'm knocking on the table right now to make sure that it brings us some luck. But we'll wind down, and that's the scene.
Good,
That's
good.
the scene.
I got one question, Jerry, because we had the police officer slash fire chief, and we were talking about this thing where, because I read in the news I don't know if it was there or somewhere else where some of these West Point cadets had fentanyl tainted cocaine, and there was something in the news, and I don't know how accurate this is, that he was actually one of the cadets was doing CPR on his friend, and he OD'd. So for me, I don't know the answer to this. I was asking you, mate, how dangerous is if somebody's doing that kind of stuff? Say they're cocaine, they have fentanyl, and you pass out, and we go down as lifeguards to do CPR. What do you think the risk is? I mean, how have you guys? Has anybody explained that? I don't know from my perspective. I'm just reading that. I didn't think it was that dangerous. I know you could touch the stuff, but
Well, again, I'm not going to make specific comments on that because, first of all, I thought the depiction in the news was a little bit slanted, saying cadets. It was basically a cadet who attempted to give resuscitation, who was then affected by it. Now, how it occurred, I don't know. But in previous experiences, and I'll add something else in there, if obviously they're doing, what are known as lines of whether it's, drugs, cocaine, heroin, it's laced with fentanyl, and you're, pinching somebody's nose and coming in contact with their mouth because I'm sure they had no PPEs and stuff, that definitely could have an effect on you.
Wow.
It's like anything else, Mike. It goes back to the days of bloodborne pathogens when we were dealing with AIDS and so on.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing, too, is during spring break, during this period of time, we have something called Ultra. And that's a big music fest that doesn't have my kind of music. It's all that, techno music and stuff.
At,
but along
fist bump
but
and
along
shit.
with that, give me Springsteen and the Eagles, and I'm happy. But this is the techno music, which is associated with a lot of drugs. And we just actually got a notice today about something called ISO. So I can't wait to get into tomorrow to find out exactly what this is. But it's a new drug, just like a couple of years ago we had something that made the headlines of Flacca that was, making people literally out of their minds and whatnot. So it's always something new. We try to keep up on things. And I was just going to mention, it's amazing how much of our lifeguarding duties are now becoming medical.
Yep.
It's amazing the things we're dealing with on the beach aside from just the water-related activities.
Yeah, it's amazing. Well, Jared, listen, I thank you for calling. We number one is I appreciate it and appreciate the information. Number two is we got to get you back on. We could go on and on. So with the respect to my guest, I want to say thank you for calling. And if we could talk later. Everybody wants you back on. So.
I appreciate that, and I love talking with you guys, and it's always good to keep things sharing things. So you guys have a great night, enjoy your thing, and I'll catch it on the rebound.
Thank you very much. All right, Jerry. Bye-bye.
Okay. You guys have a good day.
Bye-bye.
There is a well-spoken lifeguard.
Right?
Yep.
Let me make sure
articulate.
Do you guys have any crazy spring break stories from back in the day?
Let me just make a point because he's. I just want to give Jerry a shout. He's a big time. He's very professional. Number one. And I would say that Miami Beach Patrol is like the Yankees. They're that level. And I get a lot of information, from him. And there's another one who listens to us. His name is Ted from Harmon.
Tim
Harmon, excuse me. I'm getting a brain fart. And he's another professional, well-spoken. We have a lot of good people in our profession. It's not the way it was years ago. Well, but Jerry is just an unbelievable individual, and he's got his hand. They have their hand full down there. So anyway, what were we gonna say?
If they're the Yankees, does that make us like the Lakewood Blue Claws?
I don't even want to comment on that. Listen, we have a tough beach patrol, but we're seasonal. We're 3 months out of the year.
Yeah.
They're
all year.
They're all year round.
All day, every day.
And now it used to be their winter time would be busy. But now our summers and their summers are busy because you got South American people coming up now and dating that place.
Sometimes I think like who are we to be doing this show when we're only like 3 month a year lifeguards? When there's all these other dudes that are doing, men and women that are doing this year in, year out, all year.
Yeah, but when we're intense.
We do our job well. We definitely do our job
so anyway,
well.
what we gonna?
No, I want to know if either of you guys have some crazy spring break stories from back in the day.
Well, let's our guest.
I don't have a crazy spring break story from back in the day, but we were in Florida 2 winters ago, and spring break got out of control down in Miami and Fort Lauderdale, and they closed the beaches all the way up through West Palm Beach, and 1 mile away everything was open, but I couldn't even go for a walk on the beach. They closed the beach.
Yeah.
Now that was COVID related, but there was nobody on the beach. The police were patrolling, but there wasn't anybody to patrol.
Well, I'll give you one if he's asking. If you don't mind, I'll give you my spring break. I went, and it's not anything nasty. We went down to Fort Lauderdale. Fort Lauderdale, or was it Daytona Beach? Daytona, which is the one? Yeah, the Daytona.
That's where they do the race cars.
Yeah, you used to be able to go Daytona, where you could bring your car on the beach.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Okay, and so I was there with 2 of my other lifeguard buddies, but we were just starting out, so we were probably 18, 19 years old, no older than that. And it was me, Joe, and this guy Gary. So Gary thought he was the big shot, the Don Juan, So we go down there, and Gary hooks up with this girl. She's got a beautiful car. We had no money back in those days. We drove down with a clunker. I think for every tank of gas we put in a quart of oil. When we were going back, we had no money. We had to run the stop of the toll booths because we just anyway. So he missed this girl. She's beautiful. She's got a car. They're going out to dinner, and we're sitting there having some hamburgers, and he's like laughing at us. We got nothing to do. So okay. So we decide. I don't know if we drove. I guess we went in. So we went into the main drag, and we're walking around. We meet these bunch of girls, and they take us back to their place, and they had refrigerator full of booze and food, and it was great, right? So and they're like, well, what are you gonna do? So anyway, they said, let's go back to our place. We have so. We get, I guess 2 of the girls came with us, and we're driving back. And as we're driving back, we see Gary Aslini hitchhiking. That's my buddy. And we just went, beep, beep the horn.
This is the one with the girl with the nice car?
Yeah, he got dumped. So I'm not saying anything happened. We played cards and just hung out. But it was nice. But when he got back, when we drove the girls back, I think he was still hitchhiking, and we never picked him up. Anyway, that was our...
This will be giving my age away a little bit, but I remember driving down from Philly down to Miami in a 59 Ford that had to be push started periodically because it just wasn't working.
Yeah.
But it's a really nice feeling once you start seeing those palm trees.
Yeah.
Well, especially when it's been cold up here.
The big thing used to be, what was that surf club? Ron John. You start seeing Ron John. Ron John, 300 miles. Ron John, 200 miles.
Oh, the surf shop?
Yeah. That was the big thing. And those were. You're bringing back memories now. Whew. All right. So what you want to interview?
Well, I wanted to start with this, and we talked about this downstairs, this quote from the description on your book. And the first line really, really stood out to me. And there's a mist surrounding memories of summer at the beach, the action blurred by the static of sand or the waves' unrest. Like, when I read that quote, that makes me think of those moments on the beach where you close your eyes, and I'm not lifeguarding right now, by the way, in my scenario, but you close your eyes and you hear off in the distance, kids playing ball, and you hear the waves, and you hear just the general chatter and the noise from the boardwalk, the lifeguards' whistles, the birds, and it all kind of just blends into one, and you're just there in that moment on the beach. And that's what I feel like every time anyone steps foot, gets the sand between their toes, that's the feeling they're chasing.
I understand it completely. And, for me, it started as we were coming down for the weekend. We would come through the 7-mile toll, and all of a sudden everything would smell differently. The air felt differently. And, even as you got closer to the beach, the smell of the sand is different seasonally. So the beginning of the season, I think that the sand smells more delicious.
It's more
fresher.
rich.
Yeah. And, certainly that feeling of the ozone from the water and, the sounds of the birds. And, I always said that, like every 10 minutes, the weather feels different at any beach. I mean, that's the part that I really love about it. It just changes all the time. And when I get to a race, I never know what I'm going to see. I don't look at the tides ahead of time. I like the adrenaline of big waves. And by the way, I don't know whether you guys have seen any of the video from the tournaments that are happening in Australia right now. But if you get a chance, look at Ocean Thunder. So their boats are, they've got 5 people in a boat. They use sweep oars, and they have a sweep person in the back. And the waves happen to be huge right now. So
Wow.
It's pretty interesting.
I'm gonna
Look up.
Now
Now,
look that up on the side here.
Mm-hmm.
Ocean Thunder. What are
so
these surf races?
yeah,
Well, they have everything. It's like our nationals. They have
Okay.
the kids.
Right,
They have,
right.
all
One
the
thing
events.
about Australia, a lot of people don't realize, and I'm very sure you realize that their best athletes are lifeguards.
Sorry, guys.
Right.
Their best athletes. You're gonna throw that in.
And apparently they're not paid. So this is, I think that it's volunteer.
Some beaches are like Bondi Beach.
Yeah.
They have a group of paid, but the rest are volunteer.
Okay, yeah.
But some of their best athletes or their best athletes are
Right.
lifeguards.
Right. And I might be wrong, but I think that one of their national sports is surfboard racing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, they're unbelievable.
Yeah.
So let's see what we have here. So for the people on podcast, we have this is a four-man rowing team with a tiller. Look at that, how they're
They
moving.
do this in some pretty crazy surf too, right?
Yeah. I mean, what I've seen on like one of the social medias this morning, the boats, the waves were just huge.
Yeah, they're unbelievable.
Yeah, this is from 20. Oh, this is 22. 20. Yeah. This is a little more gnarly than that first section of the video we were looking at. But yeah, I mean, these Australian dudes are just born and bred, in big surf. They fear nothing when it comes to the ocean.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing to watch. Yeah, people should watch that. They one of my buddies who runs the Lifeguard beach patrol in Tortola, British Virgin Islands. That's where I practiced for a while, and he competed in those areas and came from England and internationally. And he said there's some big ocean. These guys get killed. Mm-hmm. I mean, every once in a while, it's lifeguard gets killed in competition. Just want to let you know how serious it is.
I remember that first year where I was the medic, and the lifeguards would take you out in the boat periodically. I learned how to row that way. And I guess down here they probably use the same expression, but it was pitch poling. And, going into a wave, and we were vertical, and I didn't know which direction we were going.
Yep.
So, I mean, the experienced lifeguards, they probably all experience that. The beach doctors, I'm not so sure about.
I mean, that I can't think of any EMTs or doctors other than you and Dr. Ditchkiss that have worked down at our beach that have gotten in a boat with us. So credit to you, because I remember my rookie year, the first time that these guys put me in that boat, I was terrified.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have got in it unless it was you got to do this for training.
Right.
So
Right.
Yeah, we would go out. We would go out in a boat. I was telling the other guest, and this is not hyperbole or any kind of exaggeration, because we just trained with it. We'd go out and ride waves in northeast storms. You could get a Van Dyne. That's what it was made for. So we would take the Van Dyne out. I mean, you'd get smushed a little bit, but you get out there, and I mean, when the initial northeast is blowing so fast, it's just one wave after the other. But when in that middle of the storm, we'd go out all the time and ride waves. I mean, that's the nice thing. We didn't, I it's funny now. I'm older. We crash the boat. We're done. We're Trauma Center, Jersey Shore, but. Well, we have a Van Dyne in the backyard here.
I saw it.
yeah, we were taking a look at it.
What happened is that just happened. That was all nice and that all collapsed that last snowstorm. So I got to get it. It's a beautiful boat underneath. It's actually
I got to
pristine.
tell you, the family's just a really nice family. Like everybody in that family. They even have like an enclave that brothers and sisters are all living next to each other.
Oh, that's cool.
In my city.
Oh, the Van. You talking about Van?
Van Dynes.
Oh yeah,
John
yeah,
Van
yeah,
Dyne,
yeah.
Tommy Van Dyne. They have twin sisters. A story about the storms. Now this is just kind of hearsay, but one of the captains, probably slightly before I came on board, I think his name was Boomer Blair, and he was a big guy. And he was a real oarsman. And they would taunt him, the storms are up, like, you'll never get out, you'll never get the boat out in the surf, you'll never get out there. Well, he got out there. They picked him up in a different city. They picked him up in Brigantine.
Yeah.
Yeah. And by the way, I think of lifeguards as being generational. And this year at one of our races, I knew that one of the grandkids, the Blair's brothers, were racing. And I just happened to stand by them. And it kind of warmed my heart to see first of all, they were studs. And, as a photographer, I'm picking out what's interesting. And these guys were big, probably like their grandfather. And I enjoyed that race so much.
The John Van Dyne, so the history on our beach, Seaside Heights, is that Junie Boyd and John Boyd, John was who was our captain, was the AD in Atlantic City. And evidently he knew the family. And we supposedly, Seaside Heights, got one of the first fiberglass Van Dyne boats that were made in the 60s. I guess they trialed it. Maybe they took a chance on it or whatever. And I don't know what year John died. Was it 95, 96?
Not sure. I know his son.
Yeah. So the father, I knew him through Junie and John, and I went down and I had a boat made. I commissioned a boat, and what we did is we experimented, and we wanted to try to make it a self-bailer. So there was holes put in it. He put the holes in. We had the false bottom was made a little bit differently, and we experimented with it. It didn't work. The boat filled up with water and it went sideways. But we actually did that, and I think that was one of John's last boats that he made. I think my boat's 95, but there was a definite gleam in his eye when you talked about Seaside Heights.
Did you guys come down to the Red Bull? Tournament?
No, I didn't. Joe Casino did,
because I believe that there were some seaside boats there, and if I recall correctly, somewhat faded on the paint. So these were
it might have been high. It might have been.
They were probably Park.
Yeah.
Ah. Okay.
Yeah. Joe, I know that the Red Bull, Joe Casino was down there. They did a profile on him and his son. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they were from Lavalette. It's a really great profile. Yeah. It's on YouTube if you ever want to watch it. The Casino Brothers, but they did the ones on the Funk Brothers, I think.
Yep.
And among others. Yeah, I go down to I've competed in the Goudies.
The Goudies.
So up there, you see right up there. You know what's up there? See the mug? Uh-huh. So I won a mug.
There you go.
Way back in the day, and people go, "That's all you got?" And I go, "That thing is worth its weight in gold."
So I've been to a lot of Goudies. Okay, so this past year, like I promised my mate, okay, the season's over. You gotta share responsibility. And anyway, I didn't get to the Goudies last year, but I remember the horns going off, and it just blew my mind that I could not be there. So I heard the start of every one of the races, except I couldn't be there. I was only a block away.
I used to do the singles, and I try to tell these guys it's an amazing race. But I want to just
maybe I'll start training.
I just want to talk I was there 1 year, and I don't know who the athletes were, but nobody could touch those guys and gals with boats. They're unbelievable. I could never ever. I was lucky I won. I mean, I just But what I was watching the one race, and so you come off the boat, right, and you just picked up a bag, and the bag's about 30 pounds. It's
50 pounds.
Well,
50-pound sand.
Yeah. Well, maybe they're different. Different times. Whatever, 30, 40, 50, whatever. Hey, I'll take 50 pounds.
That makes you look better.
That makes me look better.
What are you arguing that for?
Whatever it was.
It was actually 100 pounds.
Whatever it was, but it doesn't matter. It was heavy. It was heavy, and you got to grab that bag. And if both of these are coming off the boat, both of these got to run up. Like if the singles, I got to run up, and you got to go run up the beach. And then pass a line, all right? And that's hard. I was there, and I still ask friends, did I hallucinate this? But the guys are running up, right? And they're like neck and neck. The one guy takes the bag, he's running, throws it, right? Throws it, and then dives and catches the bag and wins. Now, I've never seen anything like. It's like almost like the first time you see
that moment would have made one of your books. Right?
the first when you see what was it? Who's did Michael Jordan when he actually looked like he went up when he went to
What in Space Jam?
No, when he did the basketball, it almost looks like they go up and then they go up even more. This thing defied gravity. It was amazing. Then I saw that, I was like, wow, that's some race to see. And it's hard. It's hard. That bag, you're gassing. Yeah.
So when you did the singles, then you were all alone and had to unhook the bag at the flag and get it back into the boat.
Yeah. So there's 4. You're familiar with 4 races? Yeah. So you gotta. And here's the thing about that. Joe Casino and I were just talking about it. People don't realize. Nobody launches the boat. They can. The boat's all the way down. You got to run, pretty far from the beach down because it's like real. It's usually low tide at time, mid tide. And one guy could just hold a boat. So you run down, you got to hit the boat. Hopefully it's on a little roller. Push it out, get in the boat, and start rowing.
Right.
And I can tell you, that in itself, And then you got to. Here's the thing with the singles: you start in the stern, and you really should move over to the bow. And when you get out there, and you got to just time that because with the bag you're going out. It's hard to say, but the wind is coming from the southeast, and it's going to blow you. So you either go to the windward side and get blown into the bag, and if you don't time it right, the boat goes over it, or if you go on the other side to the lee side, if you don't time it right, it's gone. It's over there. You got one mistake and you're done. One mistake, and then so let's say you execute the pushing the boat in the water, don't bobble anything, get through, to surf. Then you got to get the bag. That's another thing. Then once you get it in, you're in the bow. Now you're going to negotiate. You want to get into the stern, especially if you're going to catch a wave. So you're doing this and rowing at the same time.
And I imagine you're compensating
you're
for
gassing.
The weight of the bag. You got to be smart about where you put the bag as well.
Exactly. And you're gassing. And then I can still remember it. And you're gassing. And then you make one mistake, man. I'm telling you, one, and then 5 guys past you. It's tough. It's tough.
What I see from the Gaudies, first of all, it's an end of the season race, and it's an opportunity for the younger guards to compete. So yes, the good teams still have their A team in there. So the Funks are in there, and Chuck Gaudi's in there, and these guys are at the top. But there's so many competitors that are allowed in that race that the younger guys really get to race. Probably for the first time all year in an inter-city competition.
You make a good point, and I want to give them a shout out because they've never, from my understanding, they let anybody come in who wants to compete. You could do the 1 of 4, and they're very accommodative, and that's you don't see that.
Can we enter a team this year?
We
Can
could.
You coach us?
We could. I'm very sure. Yeah. Anyway, I think they're really, it's so professional, but I don't know how many years, I've never heard them, have they ever canceled it?
I don't know whether anything's been canceled, but you
due to weather, I mean.
Yeah, you guys know when the weather is too bad, they're a lot safer now. So, I've been to races where the storm came up with the boats out in practice, and the event has gotten canceled, but people got in trouble. Boats went over, and you got to be careful. And everybody's looking at the weather report, and the GP, that radar is perfect, and they will cancel things.
Yeah,
it was disappointing for me because I like the rough surf. I mean, I can feel my adrenaline going.
Yeah.
A little bit of a story about the adrenaline. I've been to a bunch of national races, and the nationals are usually the same day as our big South Jerseys, the end of the year, the championship type of race. Right. And I remember the nationals that year was, I think it was 2003, but it was in Cape May. And it was one of those, calm, it was a beautiful day, puffy clouds, it was a wonderful day for competition. But I was able to get back to Ventnor where the South Jerseys were. And as I got to the beach, I felt the adrenaline changing. The wind was up. The waves were big. I just, you feel the energy, just like a meditation, I guess, a group energy, but you could feel the adrenaline from everybody. And it was like 30 miles apart and totally different feelings.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it's like what we're talking about a bit earlier when you talked about the constantly changing conditions on the beach. Like your mood can kind of mimic that if you're tuned into it. If the waves, and the winds start picking up, like you said, your adrenaline starts going. And as a lifeguard, like, we're really on edge when that stuff starts to happen.
Right. Now, just another comment about that, because I remember that race so well. There's a practice time, so everybody's taking out the boats in practice. And I just remember it happened to be the Funks, the twins, Andrew and David. They had such a big smile on their face because they couldn't get out through the break. And they got pushed back, and both of them were just like laughing like crazy, but, practice time is just as much fun as any other time, I think, for a race.
What I like, I forget where, I don't know if I was there, I was watching pictures of it, but I've seen this multiple times. Like you'll go down there, like you say, practice time, and there'll be like huge ocean, and those guys are riding waves one after the other, and you're like watching, you're like, oh, how do they do that? I mean, you want to talk about people who could ride the waves.
These are oarsmen.
Oh my God! Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't even, like I said, be in the same league, and that's that DNA. But let me ask you about the, talk about tournaments, because I competed in the regionals when it was in Cape May, and the nationals. That was nationals, and sort of Joe Casino, and a few times, and it was regional up in Belmar. Did you cover the?
I did cover that. Happened in Belmar.
Right.
I did.
What about, were you the one in the Cape May? I forget when the last time.
I've been to most of the Cape Mays, 88, 89, 90.
95 maybe? 91?
99
no,
for sure.
99.
99, yeah.
When was I down
203.
I know I did. But anyway, talking about that's a whole different animal. I mean, it's a different, I don't know, is it 2 day? I don't remember now.
Well, it's 2 day. The boat races are completely different because it's kind of like it's a relay.
Yeah.
So it's basically it's 3 times out and back.
Yeah. And you got to.
It's pretty exciting.
Yeah. Then you got to launch the boat. But I'm just saying that's a whole different dynamic. You go to that, and you talk about getting excited. And I don't want to talk about a bad story, but I was training really hard, and I had this huge boil on my butt. And I'm not, it just happens. And so you got to go. And my buddy of mine gave me some antibiotics. He was going to lance it. And I'm like, And it's funny, that night, it busted open. It was just draining. Listen, you got to understand, I'm an athlete.
Hey.
And I competed the next day.
Complain about it on their knees.
I was probably borderline septic. But it was. I still remember that. That was an amazing time. But
So did you do that as a master's?
No, I don't know how old I was at that time. I was definitely master's, and because I remember I was really, really in shape, and I went down there, and I thought I was gonna, I was hoping.
I have to look for pictures of you now.
Yeah. So, but listen to this. What's interesting, I go there, and I'm all, fired up, think I'm going to do really well. And Joe Casino, we were hoping that maybe, he's going to take a first, and he'll fight for first and second in this one race, and I'll be third and fourth, And he comes up to me, he goes, oh man, he goes, so he says, see that guy over there? And this guy, he looks to be, his body looks like a 19-year-old cut out of stone. but you look at his face and you can see he's old. Look, he's like, 80 years old. He goes, he won silver in the 50 Olympics. My point is that every one of those guys that were my age and older were ridiculously, the competition, even at that age, is still tough. It's amazing. It really is.
No question about it. When you go to a national event, you really see a lot of athletes.
Top end, yeah. When you say athletes,
this is the top end.
Yeah.
So I remember from our local beaches, talk about top athletes. I won't mention names this time, but they do a doubles row. Let's just say that it's a 1.5 mile doubles row. They get a 10-minute break, and then there is a swim. One of the guys from the boat out for the swim. Yeah. Very competitive. Maybe didn't win, but to be able to do two races back to back, you got to be in great shape for that.
Well, I'll give you one anecdotal story because we're talking about this. It's great. So Joe Casino is a good friend of mine. Joe was a Lifeguard, and he's up there. He's one of the best. He's an unbelievable athlete and competitor. So he asked me to go down with him. He was doing what's called the Super Triathlon. Are you familiar with that?
No.
So the super athlon. Super athlon, excuse me. In Cape May, right?
I am familiar with that.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And so I went down with him, and he did really well.
Yeah.
He did. I think it was the run, and then you swim. No, you run, you do the boat, and then you swim.
2 mile run. You get into the boat, come back, and then you do the swim.
Right. I don't know. I don't know. He was right there. I don't know what he placed. So that was all wow. You know, so all talking about it. The next year, he wants to go. He goes back down again. We get down there, right? And so bang, it goes off, and I'm waiting for him, to come from the run. And I'm waiting, and one guy comes, another guy comes, and he just got his hat handed to him. And Joe's a big time athlete, and it's amazing, you know. I mean, and it was just he lucked out the one year, but they had a bunch of guys that were just, you know, maybe they weren't there, that, you know, competing somewhere else. And it was just amazing to see somebody who I worked out with, who I know is an unbelievable athlete. You know, you see him swimming right now. He's 65 years old. Yeah. I mean, he's probably does a 520 and a 500, and. But these guys were running, you know, probably sub 6 minute miles, and then they could row and they could swim. And
you know, the women are doing the same thing. You know, they have a nice race in Cape May Point, triathlon-like women's race. So, you know, it's a beach run, a hard beach run, followed by a nice paddle, followed by a swim.
That's the Ironman, yeah. It's sort of like that's the Ironman, yeah. That's a tough.
Yeah, and these days there's just as many women's races as there are men.
Right. That's what Joe and I did down in Cape May. We did the Ironman. We trained hard for that. That's a tough race.
I'm sure.
And what they do with that, they don't. I remember they don't. You don't know which is going to be. It's a stick. You don't know if you're going to run for. So no, it's swim, paddle, and row. That's what the Ironman. And you don't know what's the sequence is.
Now, don't they have two different kind? They have like an American Ironman, and then they have the Australian Ironman. One of them uses surf ski. One of them uses the boat.
Paddle boat, boat and a board. And again, I haven't been there for many years, but one uses the ski. The other one is the boat and the paddle board. Yeah. And I tell you, you don't know how to train for it, because if you do the swim first and then go to the board, and then you go to the boat, that's one set of. You know, it's the transition that kills you. People don't realize that transition is brutal, and you try to train for it. And if you finish up with the boat, you know, sometimes it's tough to. In my opinion, it was the toughest thing was to finish up with the swim, because you're gassing after that. You know, your arms are just.
Well, you still must be in good shape.
Yeah, I'm not too bad, you know, but it's still it's debatable now.
The fact that you did it, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
You're an athlete too, huh? You used to play pro tennis, I read?
Oh, wow.
Well, it wasn't exactly pro tennis. I played in some professional tennis tournaments as a senior. So I wasn't able to win at that level, but I was able to compete at that level. And, you know, it was a fun part of my life.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then a little bit of crew as well?
I took up crew late in life and really appreciated it. You know, we had an next-door neighbor that got us into it. And we were fortunate enough to be able to go out with a coach every time that we went that first year. So we had a coach with us 3 or 4 times a week, and by the end of the year, we were able to race, and you know, it's fun. Yeah. I've had some back surgery, so I haven't been in a boat in a while, but I do appreciate, especially the similarities between ocean racing and crew, especially handling the oars. You know, if you don't get those oars in and out of the water at the same time, the boat's not going to move.
Right.
In which ways are they different?
Well, the oars are completely different. You know, certainly crew. I mean, it's there's much more of a balance thing with crew. I mean, especially with singles. You know, I'm afraid to get into a singles.
Is it really that wobbly?
Very wobbly. Huh. Yeah. So,
I never thought about that.
Very wobbly, you know, even in a double. So for me, it was rowing in a quad, which was fun, and you could still be competitive about it. You know, as far as the lifeguard races, you know, they're just not going to go over unless it's really bad surf. I read something this year that there is a new sport that's happening. It's coming it's coming to South Jersey, and it's called ocean rowing. So there are some people in our area that are starting to teach people. Boats are being made. Because at least in our area, they don't have those boats. But it's an international sport, and you can bet your sweet tushy that those, you know, our South Jersey people are going to do very well in that new sport.
So for this, like, say I'm competing in an ocean rowing race, is that starting like on the beach and launching through the surf? So you're already out there.
I don't know quite.
Okay.
No, they don't know. They probably didn't even get that close.
Yeah.
The only thing about well, we want to talk about him. You know, we have a comment here. Somebody wants to know what's his favorite tournament to shoot. I don't know if you Saw that there. I don't know who's Ben Smith.
You guys were
doing
your thing.
Yeah, why don't we let's focus on him now. I want to hear all about your book and the art, and because I don't know, I'm interested.
I'll put the book aside for a second. I love to talk about my art. So
yeah, I want to hear. Yeah,
it's the main thing that I do with photography. So I've been photographing the lifeguard competitions probably from the mid '80s. And probably do 10 plus races a year. And I'll travel. I'll go to nationals, when I can. I used to come up here. I haven't been up here in a couple years, but there's so many races, around. So you got to pick and choose, and you want the ocean conditions to be right. Otherwise, it can get a little bit boring. So, but I like to get to a race early. Check things out, decide, what looks interesting. I love the colors of the boats. I love the colors of the crew. I like the charisma of some of the lifeguards, men or women. And, I'm looking for a subject matter. And I'll come out of a race, 2-hour race, I'll probably come out with 1,200, 1,500 pictures. So I'm shooting a lot. Mm-hmm. And then that night or the day after, I will start editing, probably come down to 20 or 30 good pictures. And I do a lot of cropping, but I want the picture not to be photojournalistic. I don't want winners or losers. I just want a nice arty picture that would go up on a wall or people can be proud of. So that's the type of pictures that I like to take.
When you do a shoot, and do you have do you actually, so they're all stills, obviously, right?
Yes.
So do you try to put a whole bunch together to try to get a motion out of it? You know what I'm talking about, but a theme, a movement, a progression of time.
I think that's a very good point. So I wish I did more of that. Number one, I'll put groups of pictures together. I'll call them slideshows, and for each race I might have 20 or 30 or 50 good pictures. But yes, there are series that happen. So I like the idea of anticipation in my mind. So I see a wave coming, I see a boat going out, and I know that something's going to happen. So I will focus on that. Yeah. And then you get a big series. So you might have 10, 15 pictures on a big series. Take that out of the competitions. A couple years ago, it was early June. There was a hurricane offshore, and the lifeguards were playing. So it wasn't stormy, but the waves were big. Mm-hmm. And I remember getting a new lens, a big heavy lens, and we went out on the end of Ventnor Pier, and I see a boat catch a big wave, and I'm told it was a 15-foot wave. And I took 78 pictures of this boat on the same wave all the way into shore.
Wow.
And, it was a lot of fun picking the best picture out of the 78.
I want to ask you a question because, obviously, I'm nowhere near the level of you are as far as, understanding cameras, but we have some sophisticated stuff here. But you talk about live stuff. So is there technology out there where you could, that same boat, just have a live, put the camera on, video it, and then out of that video, take stills so you don't miss anything? Because obviously you're going to miss something.
The answer is probably yes, and I believe that these guys actually were wearing GoPros, so they had the whole thing on the same thing that I did, but they had it on a video.
Yeah. So, but can you take stills out of that?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's
I'm pretty sure you can. Yeah.
Because I'm very sure you'd have the time where you're taking the picture and then you miss something. I don't know if you could.
That's life.
That's life. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. The GoPro is an amazing thing, by the way.
Well, just what you showed, Tyler, those Australian boats. I mean, that camera was in the boat.
Mm-hmm.
So
the GoPros are incredible. You can put them through anything.
Yeah.
Where does this love of photography come from? Like, where did it start for you?
So, for me, I was kind of like a serious photographer a long time ago. So I was living in Denver. I had a medical practice, and there was a neighborhood photography studio. So they gave serious courses. They had a nice darkroom, mm-hmm. and I wasn't in photography school, but I was taking a lot of courses. I took portrait courses. I took, it's called the Zone Room, where you really learn the 10 shades of gray. I love shooting black and white or converting things to black and white. And, with that knowledge, I was able to come back, shoot lifeguard races, and then spend all winter in a dark room in my bathroom playing, developing what I wanted. And I still have those pictures, from the 80s and 90s and, dark, just black and white stuff. I just still love them.
Do you still use film, or is all of your photography digital now?
It's all digital.
Okay. Why? Just easier? Is that why you switched that, or?
I actually kind of like the computer, for editing. So, for me, it's a lot easier to edit a picture the way I want than trying to do something with the darkroom, because I just wasn't good enough at that.
In what ways can you manipulate a picture with a darkroom? Because I thought it was just for developing the picture and that's it.
Well, I think I'm really not positive, because I haven't done it in a really long time, but it's the chemicals that are used, the paper that's being used, certainly, how you dodge or burn, let more light, let less light, certain parts of the picture. There's a real art and a skill to it. I think very few people are doing it anymore. Yeah.
We used to do x-rays that way, so I could give you a little, I remember.
Exactly. Why didn't I go into radiology?
Yeah. The whole thing, it's the temperature, the water, and everything. No, digital, it's cheaper too. They were doing, when MTV was in Seaside, I was talking to the guys there, because they said to me, they go, listen, we couldn't do this years ago. They were filming, the what do you call it, the
Jersey
Shore house, and they would film hours and hours and hours. And he says, they go through it and they just. The memory card, they just erase it and start over again.
Right.
It's like cost effective. For the people out there who are camera buffs, and I've been diving into different cameras. We have these cameras here that are really sophisticated. What are your cameras? What do you use?
Well, I'm using an old-fashioned camera, so I've got an old Canon 7D, but I think that the more important part is the lens. So I've got a nice heavy lens with really good optics, lets in a lot of light. I like to shoot wide open, really focus on the subject matter that I'm focusing on.
What would be the new?
Well, for this lens, it's like a 300 millimeter lens, and it opens to 2.8. Wow. And it's heavy. It's hard for me to even carry it around.
Yeah.
So on the other hand, I have gotten some of the new lightweight stuff, the mirrorless lens cameras. I don't like them. It's like my fingers are too big for the controls on the lens. So I don't do well with the mirrorless lens cameras that I have.
Yeah, I have a Canon 50 over there. That's really nice. But the technology is just amazing.
Yeah.
Like these things here, they got clean HDMI out, and they go forever. Most of the cameras they shut out in 30 minutes. These don't. They're it's interesting. I was just wondering. So you like the black and white stuff? That's amazing.
I like the black and white stuff. Yeah.
I mean, there's black and white photographs that go for hundreds of thousands of dollars. Yeah. I mean, probably more. Yeah. I mean, it's amazing talent.
So you've heard of the NFTs? The NFTs, these non-fungible tokens, where digital art is selling for millions of dollars. Okay?
Oh, yes.
So I was fortunate enough to be a chosen artist for a neighborhood in Atlantic City. It's called Chelsea, and they're trying to update a bad neighborhood. So this is an empty window project where they're putting local artists in empty buildings, and it's a very cool thing to do. So I think that I forgot the point that I was going to make.
I was just saying
NFTs.
Oh, so I met a photographer there. I met an artist there. He was an artist there, and he had sold one of his art pieces and bought a sailboat, and he's living on a sailboat from one picture.
Yeah.
Well, there was some kid who for the past 2 years has just taken a photo of himself, just a normal, regular looking, crummy phone photo of himself, selfie like this, every day for like 2 years, and was minting them as NFTs. And for the longest time, nobody was buying them, but the right person saw it, started sharing it. Yeah, kid's now a millionaire.
But irrespective of that, if you go back and look at the real famous and special artists who did the, I can't think of their names right now because I wasn't prepared for this to talk about this, but I mean, you could look at a black and white photo and it's emotional. I mean, National Geographic. You know, I mean, look at those people for years. I mean, that was amazing.
Right.
I think that can be achieved digitally. I think it's just a different space with a different kind of like.
Oh yeah, it doesn't matter. I don't think it really matters. You know, you could still do the same thing, but it's having the eye, being lucky enough to be there. But like you have the talent. There's a talent. I'm getting to. You know, you have to have a certain talent. I couldn't just go out and take. I bet you, if you and I went and photographed the same venue, my stuff would look like shit.
I don't know about that. You know, when I would think about my photography, I was literally less interested in the technical part.
Yeah.
And more interested in a feeling that I have. I mean, I could still look at pictures and remember exactly what was going on at the beach, what I was feeling
that's what I'm saying.
I'm thinking of a picture from 1978 where, we were just with family playing on the beach, playing ball on the beach, and this fog comes in and just covered everything. It was just like one of those perfect days.
Yeah.
And I remember the feeling to this day.
Would you say you have a favorite photograph you've ever taken?
No.
I bet that one's up there though.
That one is up there. It is a favorite. I do like. There's a couple that I like. That picture that I described of the hurricane wave, where there were 78 photos on the same wave. That's a favorite one. I do have 2 female Atlantic City Beach Patrol lifeguards. Going up on a big wave. And their facial expression is priceless.
Yeah.
Part of it is fear, part of it is excitement, part of it is awe, and it's a close up, and to me that is a favorite. And probably it was the first really big picture that I sold on metal in a gallery, and that's another reason for it being a favorite.
There you go.
Yeah, my point is that I don't think people in this day and age, these kids, everything is live video or TikTok, but the still photo could still impart tremendous amount of emotion,
right?
And be actually worth quite a bit because people enjoy that. And if you have that talent, like if you have the eye, I see stuff and I'm like, wow, how'd they just getting that right light and just seeing it, not the technical stuff.
A little bit of a personal story. I would sit on the beach with my buddy, and I'd commonly have a camera with me, and I took this picture of 3 young women walking along the beach. And I remember very specifically, it was 1993. And the reason why I remember it is because I met my mate in 2005, and I said to her, I might have a picture of you from a long time ago. She says, impossible, and sure enough, she was one of the women that were walking. There were 3 women that were walking.
Wow.
And I remembered it. I was able to find it.
Wow.
I've done a good job of keeping track of my pictures. I have a nice cataloging system, so I can almost find anything.
Wow.
So I had a numbering system, and I just, it's made it fun.
Yeah.
So I can find that stuff. I'm going to find a picture of you from those that Cape May National.
Yeah, I was there. It is amazing. I always talk about my wife. She's pictures, and now on the phone. What's amazing is like I have the iPad, and I'll take pictures there, and we have all this stuff, and they'll just send you on your upgrade. They'll give you a little movie. I mean, they do the whole thing. It is really. I like it because it brings you back. My phone sometimes will show me a set of pictures that go back.
Isn't that amazing?
It is.
It's like somebody's got their eye on us full time.
It gets a little creepy.
Yeah, well, we know that. Yeah, there's a lot of auto stuff going on, especially with YouTube. We know that for sure. There's beach computers. But getting back to your stuff. So you like the black and white better than the multicolor? You think it's got more a feel to it?
For me, I like the black and white. When I show my pictures to other people, I would say that most people like the color.
Why do you like what's about the black and white? Because I kind of agree with you to a certain degree.
I like a more of a moody picture. I like the grain of it. I like the, especially from the old time, the time that it, the thought process that goes into it, the time that it takes to, get that picture just right. And I think I'm more of an old-fashioned guy.
Captures that like the feel like the grittiness of that tournament.
Yeah.
You know, in black and white.
I did something kind of interesting. You know, like I have a website that is a lot of sales and marketing, and one of their suggestions not too long ago was to offer a survey. And parts of the survey were kind of simple. Which picture do you like, A or B? And, you know, when I put black and white, when I put color, that wasn't the important part of the survey. The important part of the survey was like a validation. Are you doing, or do people like your work? So at the end of it, there was a question about, do you like my work the way it is? Would you like to see new work or something else? And it was equally split. People liked my work as it was. They would like to see new work, but they would also like to see work on how I print them out on different media. So right now, for example, I happen to like wood. You know, everybody talks about metal. It looks beautiful. It's kind of perfect. But, you know, wood's got like an old-fashioned look to it. You know, it's antique-y. I wouldn't call it fine art. But, you know, if people want something kind of small and personal, a nice, you know, under 10-inch piece of wood photograph really makes a nice gift or momentum.
You make a good point about that. If you look at the YouTube videos that are successful, or a lot of people watch, people like to watch people doing, like building a shack or a shed. Or,
exactly.
You know, so to watch you do what you do, to watch you film, to watch you, you know, you can show yourself. People just love that. They can sit there.
I wish I did more of it, quite honestly. But
yeah, I know. I watched this one show. I'm no different than everybody else. It's called Bush Radical. The guy goes out and builds these like little tiny cabins, and it's neat to watch him, because what he does is he actually goes to like garage sales and dumps and gets like stuff, and then he uses it. He puts it together, and what were you gonna say?
I was.
No, but anyway, it's but because that's interesting. He's saying that people want to see you doing what you do. It's just as much as the pictures. They want to see how you got that
exactly.
picture.
Yeah. And there's always a story behind the pictures as well. So for St. Patty's Day, I posted one picture. It was a green Lifeguard boat. The oars were perfectly matched. They, you know, one set of oars had, you know, the Ireland flag on it. The other set of oars had, you know, just a little bit different. But it was just such a like a beautiful themed picture. You didn't have to say many words, and it just, you know, told its own story.
What's the saying? A picture speaks 1,000 words.
Yeah,
How does
pictures worth 1,000 words.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's right.
What were you taking pictures of in Colorado before you started photographing
I
lifeguards?
did a lot of cross-country skiing, so it was more mountain stuff, landscapes, you know, things interesting out on the cross-country trail.
Do you
and just an additional word about what I like to photograph. I like to photograph nature as well. So you know, the horses at Assateague, Chincoteague, you know, birds at the beach. We were fortunate enough in our backyard to have a nesting couple of night herons, the yellow-crested night herons. It's a funny kind of story. It actually had to do with John Van Dyne. So he came over and I said, I think we have blue herons in our backyard, John. He says, take a look at him. He takes a look at him. He says, no, those are not blue herons. Those are the yellow-crested night herons. And I watched a family of 5 chicks grow up in the backyard. It was pretty cool.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Now, do you have photographs like available of that kind of subject matter for people to go check out?
Yes. So I have a number of different galleries on my website. So that type of stuff would be in the Down the Shore gallery.
Okay.
You know, it's just a name, but, you know, as compared to Jersey Girls, there's Jersey Girls on the Jersey Girls gallery too. So
That's great.
Yeah, so people, if I want to look at your stuff, where do I go? So you go to you have your web page.
The web page is lifeguardart.com.
So lifeguardart.com.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, Rusty, like, because you're obviously you're an artist. You know, this is like your passion. What is the main goal you're trying to achieve by sharing your art, by sharing your photographs? What do you want to, drive into people? Or
I'm going to change the question a little bit if you don't
Go,
mind.
feel free.
Yeah.
Feel free.
So, I would like to be able to give something back. And I have a huge collection of lifeguard pictures, hundreds of thousands of them. And at 78 years old, I am thinking more in terms of legacy. So I'm trying to figure out, like what to do with it. I certainly have it in my will. It's changeable, but I think that there's few people that were doing something like I was for as long as I have, and I would like to share that when I'm gone at some point.
That's not it. There's another comment here. I don't know if you want to answer this. And can you put his contact information? Can you on an overlay?
Yeah, I'll get that out there.
Put it out so it sits there for a while.
Yeah, we
have
two questions for you, Rusty, from Ben Smith.
give
And
him
while you answer these, I'll do that, Catchmark.
Sure.
But so, what's your favorite tournament to shoot, and what made you pick the song you use in all of your photo compilation videos?
Okay. So
do you know who Ben Smith is by any
No, I
chance?
don't.
Well, thank you, Ben Smith, for commenting.
Ben Smith is a Lavalette lifeguard.
Oh, is he? Okay.
Okay.
Oh, Benny. That's Benny.
Yeah, that's Benny.
Oh, I didn't. Okay, I didn't know his. Yeah, he was on here. Benny's a great. Oh,
Actually, a nice Lavalette boat just went off. There was a family from that Lavalette boat that just purchased a couple of the photographs.
oh, really?
Yeah, it was.
So where'd you get? What music is he talking about? You have a song.
The music is from Waldeck, and it's a little bit of a story on the music. I found this music that I like, and I had it on my old website, so it was playing all the time, and I used it in my slideshows as well.
Oh, okay.
So I knew I wanted to do things right, so I wanted to license the music. I wanted to pay for the use of the music. So I contacted the company that dealt with the music,
right.
and I immediately got a cease and desist order from a lawyer. Get that stuff off. Meantime, I want to pay for it. I want to do the right thing. Okay?
They got their dander up.
They actually tried to close me down.
Really?
Yeah. And
Wow.
I have, I finally was able to license the music for a number of years. It's out of licensure right now, so it's not on the website per se. It's on some old slideshows.
Wow.
But it is Waldeck, something about don't shoot the gun or something like that. And I love that that whole compilation.
So people want to get contact you. It's lifeguardart.com. That's the best place.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And email is rusty@lifeguardart.com.
Wow. Just that story that you said. So you had this music playing for a while on a video on YouTube, or
The music, I chose music for a new website.
Okay,
and
you
it
put
was
it on
playing in the background. It was I was playing in the background of my. So if you clicked onto my site, it was gently playing in the background, and I used that same music for some of the slideshows that I've put together.
Wow.
And I wanted to do it right, so I wanted to license the music for its proper use.
How long did you have it on there for before you don't remember?
Not that long. I just wanted to do it the right way. Yeah.
See, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I finally ended up paying. It was a fair amount of money. It was to a European company, and so I'd been using that music.
All right, that's what happens with YouTube. They'll strike you, or they'll copyright. They'll shut you down.
They still do it with me.
Really? Oh,
they won't play my slideshow with that music, even though I have purchased licensure for it.
Wow.
Yeah, we the song we use for our intro is, like I told you earlier, a kid I grew up with and his band, and I posted a video using their music with full permission from them.
Yeah.
But I guess I don't know what we would have to do because we got a copyright claim. So in the future we wouldn't be able to monetize that video. So how would we go through YouTube to approve that? You know what I mean? Because we already have permission from the band.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wouldn't work. Yeah, but it's just amazing. It's a whole crazy thing. Well,
The second question about what favorite event, so favorite events change. I love the national events. I photographed one in Hermosa Beach a couple years ago, and the waves were good, and the lighting was perfect, and there was a pier right above the action. It was just a terrific venue. But I also like the women's races. So, there'll be 4 or 5 women's races a year. And if you get the right conditions, with big waves, the women, again, they handle the boat equally as well as the men. So I've enjoyed the Longport women, the Ventnor women races as favorites. You know, I just remember them.
Do they have one up in Sandy Hook? Did they used to have one in Sandy Hook every year?
Yes. So they
Is
had
that still
the all women's lifeguard tournament.
Right.
And I have a lot of pictures from actually 2002 from that tournament. So
So they started up again. Yeah, they never They never stopped with Corona.
this 2002.
Oh, excuse me, 2000. I'm thinking 22.
this
I'm
is a
sorry.
long time
yeah,
ago.
yeah, 22.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but
So-
it's a really nice event.
So are they bringing it back?
I don't know.
So that was all. So that would be great. I'd love to see that.
Yeah.
We should have one in Seaside Heights.
I know. Well, I think the Lavalette would send the girls up there. You know, because a lot of these beaches now have almost half their beach patrols are women.
Exactly.
So they'll send that contingent up there. And I would love to see that. I got a granddaughter. She's 9. Excuse me, not 4. She's 9 now.
You're way
and she's
off.
like so into lifeguarding. She's swimming. She's almost as tall as I am.
Yeah.
And I want to try to get her exposed to the competition to get her more fired up about the whole thing.
By the way, it's another subject matter that I really like. I love to take pictures of I'll call them junior lifeguards, but we're talking about whether it's a 5-year-old or a 10-year-old.
It's
Doesn't
amazing.
make any difference, you know.
Oh, those
They're
kids are-
there. They love it. They love
they
being
love
with
it.
their parents. They've got a junior lifeguard shirt on, or a beach patrol hat, or something like that.
I'll tell you a quick story because you need to bring it up. I had Ava on the beach, so I wasn't supposed to work Friday because I had her for that day, and she hangs out with me. We go swimming, we do the lifeguard stuff, at junior lifeguard. Anyway, they asked me to work that day, and I said, well, I have her, and she's good enough to hang out on the beach. So I said, go hang out on the beach, and she knows the lifeguards. And I'm up at the headquarters. Next thing I know, I see her, and it's a flat day. It's not that bad, but she's out on the bar. She's got the hat on, the whistle, and the can, and she's moving people, right? And she's 8 years old. And, they were watching her. She wasn't causing any problem and wasn't any dangerous like that. Well, the funny thing is, after the day's done, we come up, we shower up, and I take her on the boardwalk to go on the rides. That was the deal, if she'd be, a good girl. So we go up on the rides there, and we're waiting on the rides in Seaside Heights, and these people are coming up who she interfaced with on the beach, saying, "Oh, you were such a great lifeguard. You were the lifeguard on the beach." I'm talking to the father, and he goes, "Is that your daughter? What is she like? 16, 17?" And I don't want to tell him she's 9 years old, but it's amazing how they get fired up about it. It was a great experience for her.
Kind of a similar story. I had an art show. This is a long time ago in Atlantic City, and I had a black and white picture. There's probably 20 female lifeguards, all with their hands up in the air. It was a roll call of some sort. Yeah. And a guy walks in off the boardwalk, and he looks at my stuff, and he says, "That's my daughter." This was the picture was taken up in Sandy Hook, obviously.
Wow.
So, small world.
Yeah, lifeguarding that's why we started the show. Lifeguarding is such a unique thing, and it brings a lot of different people together: surfers, police officers, fire, and photographers. I mean, it keeps on going on and on and on. And it's something that I think a lot of people don't realize how big it is, how many professionals are involved in it, and how many lives are saved every year, and the level of competition. It's really, I think, kind of, added a lot of people's eyes sometimes, but I think it's starting now to come out, and that's why we wanted to have the show to profile all this stuff, to push it out there.
Great show.
We're
Great
trying.
show. I'm going to try to watch a little bit more of it too.
We're trying. We have our moments.
Yeah.
I think we're it's a brilliant situation if we make it more than like an hour without any type of technical difficulties at this point.
Oh, we've been pretty good. Well,
there's always some kind of snafu every show. It's part of the brand now.
We have the best stuff that money could buy, but there's a lot of complexity to it, and but we're getting there. And it's also trying to understand how to use the technology to get the best product. We were talking about the drones and all that. Sometimes more equipment doesn't make a better show or better quality or content.
Right.
And I love this kind of medium here, and we love to have guests because you guys like you who our guests are our blood, our oxygen, our fuel, and it makes a big difference. So we're very happy. I just I wanted to throw it out at you. I think it's such a talent to be able to take a picture of something And when because I look at it stuff, I can't think of the people's names who, especially these artists who are famous black and white photographers from the day back in the day, and the National Geographic people. I used to watch, get that magazine, and my friends bought a house down in Florida. This was many, many years ago. It was in a place called Ramrod Key, and this was probably, I don't know, early 90s. And the people they bought it from were photographers. They were photographers for National Geographic, back in the day. So they were probably in their 80s, almost 90s. They sold their house, but and they had pictures. I was down there, and it was just amazing. They were all around the world, and I mean that's how you got information. So you just think about it. Now it's a whole different world, but I think it was such a romantic era, and you're kind of like taking the mantle. So,
is there a photographer that you can think of that you really looked up to when you were learning it for yourself?
Probably Ansel Adams. I was pretty impressed by the zone system. That there should be 10 shades of gray in those really good pictures. So, and that's a real skill. And I remember when I took my course, we had these like homework assignments, and I just couldn't get them right. And the problem was that my camera was off by 2. There was a real physical problem with the camera that I would have never known unless I would have taken that course. So it had to be fixed to get the correct 10 shades of gray.
What exactly does that mean, 10 shades of gray? Like, what is the significance of that in photography?
Well, I'm not sure that I will answer your question correctly, but the really good black and white pictures always have a black in it and a white in it. It still is able to show a little bit of detail. Mm-hmm. So those are the end points, and then the other shades or the other shades in between probably make up a good picture. Now, when I do my photography on the computer, I usually make my editing through a histogram. So histogram shows how many pixels, how many particles of information are at each of the different parts of the picture. Now, that doesn't mean that every good picture needs to have a spread of pixels. Sometimes you want an all gray picture. But I do use the histogram a lot in understanding what kind of information there is in the picture. I still go for emotion. What does it feel like? I like a softer picture. I don't like the real bright, like in your face type of things.
That was something you said before about the emotion, because art is there is like this super technical side to art, right? Like you said, these 10 shades of grays, and just knowing how to work in a darkroom and make sure that you're developing your pictures properly, knowing like the rule of thirds, knowing how to frame a shot, right? Drawing, knowing, exactly how to use all the mediums. But then, once you have all that stuff down, like you could do all that perfectly, but if you haven't somehow imparted an emotion into what you're giving people, then it doesn't matter. And in a lot of cases, and I think you'd agree with this, you'd sometimes prefer maybe that picture that doesn't exactly obey the rule of thirds, but it has that emotion in the face of your subject that you're looking for, right, as opposed to like the perfectly framed, perfectly timed photo.
Right.
So you're capturing the chaos of a moment.
Here's the Tetons, which I've seen this picture. I know where this is from. I've been there.
Ansel Adams.
Right, that's the Ansel Adams. Yeah. That's the Tetons and the Snake River.
Oh my God!
I was right there.
That's not Ansel Adams. This picture of the hands here.
No, that's a laborer.
That
patient. It looks like it's rheumatoid arthritis, but look at it.
That's old age.
Yeah. I want to show. I don't see. There's. This is amazing. Here he is right here. This is a picture of Ansel Adams.
How about that?
See, there it is.
How about that?
See how we could do this stuff? Isn't it amazing?
It's a genius.
So he died. He was 82 years old, and it's just amazing. It's really, all of this technology is really amazing. It really is.
You talk about the emotion of a picture. It's not just the emotion that you're giving somebody else, but it's the emotion that you want to, feel yourself.
Well, that's a
So-
good gauge to go by, right?
Yeah, it's a good gauge to go by. I mean, we were talking about medicine, a little earlier. Many of the things that I studied in medicine was not to make somebody better, but to make me better. That I wanted to do something to, use myself as a guinea pig, in a way. But it's and so the same thing with photography or just being there. Like I happen to have a habit now. I have a daily Qigong Tai Chi habit where I go out to the pier over the water almost every day. And I just love the way it feels. My body physiology changes as I'm walking out over the water. So, and every day is different.
Yeah, yeah.
Thought processes are different. What I'm trying to accomplish is different. So.
But and that's good. You put you in a mindset. Maybe that helps you with your photography. But when I look at stuff like this, with photography, I have this. I don't know how to. I have this. It's time. It's interesting. We take a photograph, and like when I look at the photographs from 10 years ago, so we're looking at something that doesn't exist anymore, but did at one time. And this whole concept of time, because I talk to people, especially a lot of young people, like, I don't need to know about history, and they don't care about anything that happened in the past. But we're you focusing on taking a snapshot of a fleeting moment. It'll never be there ever again. Those circumstances will never, ever, ever happen in a line, in the universe, the Earth's moving this way, and the universe. So you think about it, this whole concept of time, and I can have a hard time getting my mind around it, because when I look at a photograph of me, say, or my father who's passed away, or it definitely, or even a video now. I mean, people, you could watch videos or a movie. It's an interesting concept or an interesting entity, and so you're taking pictures of the past. So you're like a time traveler almost. So we could look at your book. No, really, that's what it is. I mean, you go back. You're going back in time. You're seeing things that, and I
wish
think
we could add it to a little bit and make it for the future.
Yeah, if we could do that, yeah. Then again, I don't know if I really want to know the future. Sometimes,
Hey, if you ever figure out how to take photos of the future,
yeah, we want in on that.
Hey, go to all the horse races.
There was, you talk about that. There was a Twilight Zone or something skit where the guy got a camera and it could take a picture of the future. I'm telling you, there was. Now you brought that up. So, and it was he destroyed it because he didn't want to see what was happening in the future. But
I don't know if I'd want to see the future.
No. But I just think, do you ever think on those, like when people look at the photos, like you just said about your wife or your the guys with his daughter, you go back in time. It's that mentality to take a picture, and save it. I mean, they were doing it on caves. I mean, they were showing things, but to show something. I just think it's an interesting thing. History and looking at photographs, and it gives me such emotion on so many different levels. That moment. I always try to think, how was it back then? And I don't know if you've ever watched the things now on the internet. They'll take photographs of people like Billy the Kid, and they'll make it colored and and fill it in like real life, and they'll give it a little bit movement, blinking in the eyes.
They can actually. They have
That's
apps.
amazing.
Yeah,
They have apps
that
now
is
where
neat.
you could make that face like articulate and speak and blink and move around a little
That's
bit.
amazing.
It's weird. Well, I mean, you have all the deep fake stuff now, which there's this dude on Instagram. He's called like Fake Tom Cruise or something, and he does these skits like as Tom Cruise, and they do like the face swap filters. Well, they have technology now that we have 31-hour-long episodes of Lifeguards Off Duty out there, right? You can take all of your voice samples from all those shows, put them into this technology, right? This deepfake technology. It can make your face, like I can then take your face, put it on mine, and make you say whatever I want, and it'll sound authentic.
Yeah.
And there's this dude on Instagram doing that with like Tom Cruise stuff. Like he does a really good Tom Cruise impression. So he just has the software put the Tom Cruise on his face, and it's almost indistinguishable. It's scary.
Put his thing back up. Yeah, it is kind of crazy. Let me ask you, your art. You were talking about you want to have a legacy. Where do you put it? In other words, if you want to do that, Like where do you? I mean, you could have like photographs and put it in a box or put it on a hard drive, or
Right.
you know, I mean, you could put it in the iCloud. Is there any? Do you have any idea like where would you want to? You know, I mean, you could.
Yeah,
I mean, if you
I have-
put
I have
what's yeah.
I think that an idea that just came up the other day, you know, like at that same street gallery show, somebody brought up the fact that Atlantic City wants to have a lifeguard museum.
There you go.
There you go. So I think that's a terrific idea. But, you know, for me, local college or library or things like that, you know, some form of a collection locally, you know, it's local.
Have you, you know, maybe we should get you in contact. He's a patient of mine actually, but also it's the mayor of our town. We had, they got the museum. Have you had any contact with the people? We have a museum that they're building in Seaside Heights where the carousel is.
No.
And they're looking for, you know, stuff there. I don't know. That might be a good, you know.
If you can find that picture of him.
Yeah. No, but it could be any. It doesn't have to be me. You know, it could be anybody.
Yeah.
They, you know, I have what I have downstairs, and I'm going to give them is I actually have the old daily logs from the beach patrol in the 50s and 60s. So what happened is they were all stacked up in the headquarters for years and years. We didn't even know they were there. And then when Sandy hit, it destroyed the place, and we went in there, and I found these ones that were still there. There's probably ones that went back even further. And they're every day, you know, there was 3 rescues. There was, you know, somebody, you know, Splinter, and it gave the roster who was on that day. It was pretty interesting. So I'm going to
We still got to do a show on that before you hand those over.
yeah, and they're, you know, but
One of the things that I really enjoy about the lifeguard culture, I was not very good at myself, but I think that the humor that, you know, you get a funny lifeguard, there isn't anything funnier than a funny lifeguard. So I remember stories when I was a beach doctor of, you know, they had an ambulance kind of going around, and, you know, somebody had to be taken to the hospital. Well, there were some drownings, and there were some dead people in the ambulance. They were,
oh my God.
you know, they put this person in, a dead person kind of rolls out from underneath the seat.
Oh man.
So stories like that, you know,
yeah. I could tell.
they last a long time.
Yeah, I don't want to get into it. I could tell you, Tom. We have crazy stuff. On
I
our
mean,
beach.
that's, you know, we've talked about this before. It's like akin to like gallows humor, you know, because a lot of us, we have this high pressure situation that we're in, you know, for 8 hours straight, where like if we stop paying attention, something could go really bad. So I feel like to counteract that, we just make fun of everything.
Yeah, and we do. We definitely have some funny. We you know, we don't allow drinking on the beach, but when it's a busy day and we're going crazy, we can't control. You know, can't watch it.
Right.
And I remember we had this one day, and it was really busy, and we made tons of rescues and, you know, going crazy. And at the end of the day, I finally, when things calmed down, I finally was able to sit on the stand and, you know, maybe came back with a cup of coffee, and there was a bunch of guys behind us, and there was like 100 beer cans. They were drinking the whole day, and they were watching us. And they spoke broken English. They were Russian, and they thought this happens every day. You know, and it's not. It was that, you know, that was a one, you know, maybe 3-4 times a year you get that crazy. And they were drunk on their butts. But I never saw them drinking because I never turned around once. I was so busy in the water and making rescues. But so you know
So back in the day, were your rescues commonly in boats, or did you use other?
We use boats, but not commonly. So we had on John Boyd and Junior, they had rafts. So we would have these rubber rafts, and they would float out on a west wind day, and the people couldn't get in. So we would launch a boat, go out. They weren't really in trouble. They just couldn't get in.
Yeah.
So you get them, and of course, you had to bring the raft in because they own the rafts. You know, they wanted the raft back. You didn't leave that out there. Sometimes we did, but it was because, well, you put the raft, you know, you get the person in, and then you row the boat in. I had 2 legit boat rescues in my years. I mean, big time. Yeah. And what happened was we would have a bunch of rescues, and we would, you know, a loose can and a rope can. But a few times you had so much going on that some people would just, with the lifeguard, would float out and you just couldn't get to them. It was just too many other things going on. They're fine.
Yeah.
And then you would, so they're so far out. We didn't have jet skis back in the day. So then you launch a boat and you would go get them. And usually the ocean was pretty bad. And I did that twice. And we would go out and with another lifeguard, get the 1 or 2 people on the boat. And then we would actually, the times that I remember, we would go north because the wind was blowing south and go find a run down the other end of the beach, on the other side of the pier, run the boat and leave it there and then come back. But we didn't do like Atlantic City where we have the main rescue. Our main rescue is a loose can followed by a rope can.
I still get excited when I hear that whistle go off.
Yeah, we blow a run whistle. Yeah. Well, he's, it is an amazing. One of the things that we did that stopped a lot of us having so many rescues was that we put a limit or controlled the alcohol on the beach, because there was no control back in the day, and now we really no alcohol is allowed on the beach. It still gets on there.
Right.
So that makes a big difference. Yeah. I mean, there's still, sneaking on, and still people intoxicated. But I can remember so many rescues where I was swimming to the person, I could smell the booze on the water.
It's like a 10-foot radius.
You could just smell it,
I had one dude where I swear I almost threw up. Like I was like this far away from him too, and it was that bad. Yeah. I was gagging, I was like, "Sir, take the can, please." It was bad.
Yeah.
So you were talking about doing assisting at surgery. I mean, a long time ago when I was living in Colorado, I did that as well. And every once in a while, I'd go into the operating room, and the whole operating room stunk from alcohol. So that happens.
Yeah. That's the alcohol. I always say that alcohol and water don't mix, and I think what people get a little bit, beer muscles. I also what I've noticed with people when they're really that drunk, they give up real quick. They go under. I don't know why, and there's also drugs involved. A lot of people do drugs, but to answer your question about the boat, we used it a lot to patrol. Years ago. We would go back and forth, and I think a boat. According to Tim Hartman, New Jersey is one of the only places that uses boat for rescues.
Right, and it's controversial. I mean, I think a lot of people want to stop making the boats on the beach,
especially after last summer.
Well, I'll tell you, I take the other tack. I think we should be promoting the boats to every beach patrol in the United States. You might say, what are you talking about? I think a boat is, first of all, you have a jet ski. That's great. But not everybody could afford a jet ski. You can't launch a jet ski by one person. And a lot of times you could use the boat and do the same thing. I mean, if somebody gets hit by a piece of wood or a fish or shark, whatever you want to say, or they're passed out, you could use a boogie board, a backboard. But a boat is really, if you know how to do it and use it, it's a very good tool. Right. It's cheap, relatively cheap. It doesn't use any fuel, and I could do a lot with a boat.
I know in our area they practice every day with the boats.
Yeah,
but it's on every beach, So
I think a lot of people, listen, a jet ski is great, but I tell you another thing with a jet ski, it's hard to launch when there's a shore break. I could launch a boat a little bit easier. Yeah. I tell you, one of the captains who is a good friend of mine. They'll get the kids come on the beach 7:30. They work out, and then the beach patrol works out. And at 10 o'clock, they set up the stands. And what the captain does, he gets in the boat, and he rows all the way down and all the way back on the beach. And he gets a perspective. He can see where the runs are. Right. He can see what the water temperature is.
He gets
a good time, but you get a workout, but you get a perspective, and you can work out with the boat, bring it out there, and corral people. In the beginning of the season in June, when the water's freezing, it's a great workout tool. The boat and the board. Yeah. So even from a standpoint of working out, anyway, I disagree with that whole premise that get rid of a boat. I think a boat's important,
and
it's another tool in your toolbox.
Yeah, well, I didn't realize this until we all got our boaters licenses through the town one year, so we could drive the jet ski. And the guy that was teaching the course, he was a retired state trooper boat captain, something like that. And he asked, by show of hands, who here has boating experience? And I kind of half raised my hand, and I was like, not really, but I've rode the Van Dynes on the beach. And he looks me dead in the eye, and he's like, that's the best like boating education you could get. And I didn't realize it until then, but is a great tool to help younger guards really understand the surf. And
Oh yeah,
how
well,
it can
it's
move
good.
you.
It's good training vehicle. That's a good point.
And how to
That's
get
a good
through
point.
it and how to read it. Like, okay, where's the run?
That's a good
What's
point.
the timing here?
Yeah.
Even understanding the sandbar.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
really need to understand the sandbar on a boat. You know, am I gonna say the sandbar is 100 yards long and the water's like knee deep. Am I gonna jump in the boat right away? Like, no, I'm probably gonna push it to the end of the sandbar. You
See,
know?
I think that with the boat, because if people are listening to this, and I think the jet ski could replace the boat most of the time, but I would still have boat backups. But if you don't have the money for a jet ski or the personnel, a boat's a great tool, real great. Like he said, it teaches you, but it's a good rescue vehicle. And
You see a lot more rescue boards on the beaches as well now.
I like the boards. I'm a big board guy. I like Bondi Beach. I think that if you're really good with a board, you're going to beat anybody out with a board. You could take a board out in pretty big ocean, and it's a little bit. You could hold them out there, and it's not that easy. You got to be really skilled to bring somebody in with the board. But if you get out there and you could hold them, and then bring out a boat or a jet ski or the rope can.
Yeah, the boards are great. I mean, you launch that thing right, you can be halfway through the break without even taking your first paddle. You just skim across the top of the water.
Yeah, what's interesting, Timmy and I were talking about this, and we'll go off on a tangent here, but traditionally here we have a loose can, and then another lifeguard swims out another can with a rope. And we're, with the limited lifeguards that we're getting now, and the limited age, lower age, we're seriously, a lot of people are starting to think about maybe changing the whole paradigm. Now, a boat is one thing. You got to have a lot of talent, and those guys down in South Jersey train really hard, to make the rescue. But Timmy and I were talking about it and we do it on our beach once in a while, is that, if you don't need the rope, we just, get them and then bring them in. A lot of beaches do that where there's limited lifeguards. One lifeguard will swim out, will have one of those cans that has a long line, that you wrap around them, fins, and you get out there and you bring them in. And California does that. And we have high density, but we're talking about where, maybe just get the can out there, and same thing, just bring them in by yourself. Don't bring the rope out. Don't get the whole thing going, because you got to rotate down, and there's a lot of things. So there's this paradigm that we've been so indoctrinated with, but now there's talk about maybe changing, how we do it. It's right.
This is a bit of a change of subject, but
can you put his thing up for me? So people could look. I want people, and especially on a podcast here, they could go to.
So Rusty, has there ever been a situation where you were photographing a lifeguard tournament and you had to step in and assist in like a medical situation?
No.
Have you ever been tempted to, or has it always just been hands off? I'm not getting involved.
My general feeling is hands off, unless I really had to. It's just my general feeling.
Have you seen some bad wrecks?
No, it's just, first of all, when you haven't been working in medicine on a regular basis, sometimes you don't deserve to be, you're hurt more than help.
Mm-hmm.
My mate, so you're a doctor, go help them, somebody, if I had to, I would. But, it's not something that I am, that I look forward to.
Yeah. So you're generally like, there's people that are here for that, and I'm here for another thing.
Right.
Especially
on the other hand, we were standing, we were at a food and wine thing, and the guy sitting next to me just went down on the ground. And I didn't do very much, but, I was able to feel a pulse. I was being very supportive. I was like a hero. I didn't do anything, but I was, I just happened to have been next to him. I wouldn't have run across the room.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you talk about that. I'm in on a flight with my wife, and I'm out. I may have had one drink or something, and all of a sudden I get woken up, and she's waking me up, and they're like, somebody, 2 seats down is passed out. I don't know if she threw up or whatever. And they're like, is anybody a doctor? And of course, she's like, yeah, he's a doctor. And they wake me up. I'm from a dead sleep. I might even had an Ativan, 1 milligram. So and I'm like, and I'm like, they go, you a doctor? I'm a foot and ankle guy. Yeah, it doesn't matter. They don't give a shit. Right? So I go over there, and this woman, she's out, she's coming around, and I ask her a bunch of questions, and to me, she looked like she was seasick. Basically, she had no chest pain or anything, and people do get sick. But here's the funny thing, who the hell am I? And they're on the phone with these other doctors on land, and they want to know, is this an emergency? Do they have to, divert the plane? And what do I think? And I'm like, oh, that's a lot.
That's a lot of pressure.
I'm like, what? In the meantime, this is all about 2 minutes. I'm still half asleep. And I'm like, no. And I finally got my thoughts, and I looked at her, and I talked to the stewardess, and I said, listen, she's, it doesn't look like she's having a heart attack, no stroke. And so that was the end of it. Anyway, everybody's happy. Go back to the seat, and they bring out this bottle of wine. Like I didn't even know they had high-end wine on a plane, And, I didn't drink it. We just,
Nice.
But that was nice. That was a good one. I got a nice bottle of wine. So, but it's funny how I didn't want it, But when in a lifeguard situation, you think about it, there's so many probably experts there, that's a good place to get hurt. So
Yeah, you probably have more EMTs on the beach than any place else in the world.
Yeah, the person who's injured's rowing partner is probably like, oh my God, I know what to do here.
I know a couple times where I heard where there was a lifeguard tournament. I think there was one in Ortley where one of the what would they call it? Officials had a heart attack. One guy was in a boat because they put a boat out there. He had a heart attack in a boat and passed. So there wasn't much they could do. Yeah. But I've had injuries. I've hit my shins. Everybody gets injuries in the boat. So.
I one time, I was rowing with a younger guard, just showing him the ropes, and we were bringing. I forget what something happened, like where an oar was left dipped where it wasn't supposed to be. We end up sideways. Boat gets pushed all the way in. We're full of water, so I'm out of the boat trying to flip it to bail it. And I ended up on the beach side where I probably shouldn't have been. And my partner just lets the boat go as a wave coming. And I'm about a 3-year guard at this point, so I think my naivety is a bit excused. But this boat cracked me, so both shins just I felt like I was a bell being rung, like my entire body just vibrating.
Yeah, be careful.
I looked at the other guard. I'm like, get back in the boat. We row out. I pop my oar, ship them, and just sit there in silence, just like.
Yeah, that's why we tell you, oceanside. Never get between the beach and the boat.
I learned that lesson the hardest way.
I'm always amazed, in big water when the boats are going over, that more people are not hurt. The whole team goes out to rescue, but every once in a while you see somebody trapped under the boat. But I don't think I've ever seen anybody. Maybe one time where somebody.
You know what? You know what it is? It's all about training. I mean, like when there's times where I could tell you, I could see in my mind. You got to go to the ocean side. You don't panic. You got to push on the gunnels. A lot of times you could slow the process down the boat going over. And the other thing I try to teach these guys is when the wave's coming, you go to the back of the boat and you jump out off the stern and you use your bite as an anchor. And the wave comes over. If you could straighten the boat out, the wave goes into the boat, it swamps it, and now it's under control. It's filled with water, but you could just bring that right in. And you're right. The other people have to come in. I tell you, you've probably seen it when they do the lifeguard tournaments and they spin the boat around and they change the crew. Yeah. And that's and Lavalette used to have that down pat. Yeah. And that's the thing. You just nobody ever gets hurt. You can. That's a very dangerous maneuver, especially in surf.
Now that I think of it, it's true.
It's very, very dangerous.
Not all, obviously a race that has something like that is different than the average races. So I love to be in a city where they are doing something different like that. Brigantine is a good example.
Yeah.
So
Well, what's great about especially the surf boat races, particularly if you compare it to, let's say, just a normal track and field event, is there is that like you have to be the most fit and the most technical rower to win, but there also is that little bit of gamesmanship. Can I catch a wave? how quick can we get this boat turned around?
Right.
You know,
Yeah, big thing is to
And luck.
and luck.
And
Yeah,
luck.
you have to.
Yeah.
One of the things that you guys
Yeah,
probably really
do I find myself in the right spot to catch this wave?
Right.
And here's the thing that it's maybe you don't think about it sometimes. You're gassing. You're at the end of your. I mean, you're hurting, and you have to think.
Yeah, it's not just like running this straight line for a few more yards.
You have to. You're like when I did. I remember when I was down, Cape May. At times I used to do the 1500 paddleboard, and you get out there. It's strategy. You're bobbing between you 4 or 5 guys you're battling with, and you stay on your knees. Do you go on your belly? When do you do that? Where's it pushing? You're trying to, and you got to think. And I tell you what, it's not that easy to think when you're gassing. I know it sounds, but for me, you and I've made mistakes, and when it's all over, I'm like, why'd I go to my knees earlier? Or vice versa. Can I tell you one more, just a funny story?
I'm enjoying your story.
So let me tell you,
Impressive
I want to give you a story because this is not about me. We were in the Goudies because we're talking about the guys. I think Goudies to me is an amazing. I love it. It's to me it's the quintessential lifeguard tournament. So I didn't do the singles this time. I did the there was a guy swims out to the buoy to the bag, gets the bag, and as soon as he starts swimming in, we launched the boat. So the two of us were out and grabbed the bag. All right. So that day, this guy, Scott Darby, who's a really good athlete, he's Lavalette lieutenant, was doing the singles. Right? It was a nasty day, big ocean. And in fact, we did very well that day because it was so bad. So everybody launches. We just happened to have a good shoot where we weren't on the bar. And that's another thing. They're very fair down there. They do it as they do. I mean, the guys who are locals, sometimes they got the worst.
I hear stories like that.
Yeah, I'm those guys. I tell you what, and they're professionals and they know they're good and they don't play any games like that. So anyway, we were like, okay, so bang, we launch. They all go. The wave comes in, wipes out almost half the beach, the lifeguards, and they were the good guys. Atlantic City, Ventnor, they got all hammered back, right? And our guys going, we're like, oh my God, and to be even close down there, that how it, what I'm saying. So he's going, and we're like, we're gonna win, he's gonna win, and he never won that before. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, and he's way out there. All of a sudden, this wave comes, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and it catches him, and he goes backwards all the way back to the beach. The boat, right back. You know how it is, and the stern is hitting the waves, hitting the water all the way back, right? We run in there, and I don't think he ever turned. And he thought that was it. He's like, I'm done. But you know what? Everybody else was still recovering so bad.
So he had to row the race twice.
I guess if there was any water, we threw him back out, and we made him go back out again. He had the look on his face. You talk about when the girls who had fear, and he was just. And you got to know Scott. He's got the personality. He's like the glass is always half empty. And
How about the competitive racer that gets water in his boat and still finishes the race? That's a nice thing to. It's a nice thing to see.
I've had that too. Yeah. Joe Casino had that. Our plug blew out.
Yeah.
And
so you get swamped and you're still going.
We came in last. It was, and you can't tell anybody. They're like, I remember the girlfriend I ever had. She goes, "You guys suck." The boat plug came out. You can't. I mean, it's just. Yeah. Anyway, you can't get over that. So what do you want to because we're going kind of long, huh? You want to pack it in soon or what?
Forget your words, by the way.
Huh?
Forget your words.
What words?
Well, we're not done yet. Stay out, stay alive. But do we want to show you? Do you want to talk about your book at all, or no? You okay? I mean,
not really.
No, okay.
I can tell a little story about it, but
yeah. I just want to see. Can we see? Let me get the camera on it. If you hang on, turn it to this camera right here.
Okay.
And lift it up just a tiny bit so we can see it. Wow, I love the cover.
This book is 13 by 11. It's 106 pictures in there, 150 pages or so. There is some unusual writing by local people. Jim Whalen, the deceased senator who was a champion swimmer, the Van Dyne family with the boat buildings, and stories about camaraderie. When you grow up, all the doctors, lawyers, construction people, everybody's still friends. I mean, it's been it's a lifetime of relationships that you build.
Eh.
So this is all, it's a black and white book.
Wow.
It was self-published, and interestingly enough, the template for the book was a color template. So here's a picture of the Goudies. So
Look at that.
How
What
do
are
you know
the-
that it's the Goudies?
What are the?
Wow.
How do you know that it's the Goudies?
Is it the flag?
Wow.
No.
Let me
The bag
see.
is the
Let me
bag.
start-
Yep.
The
There's-
bag.
Yeah, the bag is in the
I
stern.
can't see. Wait, that's
Okay,
wait,
yeah,
what
yeah.
beach? Wait, what beach patrol is that? What's what is it?
That's got to be lava.
That's Lavalette.
Wait,
That's
let me
Lavalette.
see. Am I? You sure I'm not? You sure I'm not?
No,
You
that's
take
Joe
the
to the
book.
right there.
Wait,
That's
you
Joe.
sure? I
You
mean,
take the book here.
let me see if
Here.
I'm in that photo. I wonder because I competed with them all the time.
You look good in a speedo,
Yeah.
Catchmore.
So, did you see on your cover of your book here though? I don't know. You know, you have Trump there, Trump Tower. You know.
So I won't get into that story, but I mean, I never even thought about the politics. That's an old picture. It's really a great picture. It's a color picture that hangs in our living room and in metal. But I had a friend call me. He says he wants to get a present for his daughter. He says, "Is there any way that you can change the name and put Biden instead of Trump on the tower?" So I said, I'm not good at that, but I'll ask somebody. And sure enough, I get it done, and the picture was decent, okay? And I tried to give credit in social media to the guy who did it for me. He got so pissed off at me for mentioning his name, tagging him.
For associating him with Biden?
I don't
or?
think that it was I don't think that there was an association. I think that he forgot that he knew me or something like that. But to me, that picture all of a sudden it's
It's
like,
got a different connotation now.
the connotation has changed.
Well, it's funny that you opened to this page. So this is this here
Yes,
is
be careful over there.
no, but this here it's
I
so.
wish we had the camera on you
But
right
it's Krez who's the captain, Krezba. That's who it is. Jim Krezba. It's Joe Casino. That's Jackie Casino. I know this other guy here. He's a general surgeon now, and I don't know who the other guys are. I'm trying to think. That was 2003. I'm not sure. I might. I definitely was there when
Now,
competed.
why do you think I like the picture? Why would I pick that Lavalette team for that picture?
Because they won?
Why that one?
Because they're athletes.
Well, first of all, it's it's a favorite picture to mine, but it was a colorful picture. So it's a red boat. I don't know whether that boat's still around or not.
Yeah, we had
everybody had their shorts on with
Yep.
the Lavalette.
Yes.
It was just a nice picture. It was a calm night. Doesn't show as well in black and white, but happens to be one of my favorite old time pictures.
We're going to try to get Krez on here. Krez, to me, is a very professional individual, and he ran that beach patrol really tight. We would train, and one of the reasons why Lavalette was such a great competitor is because we did the small things. Like we would train how to turn the boat, little get the oars out. The little things, how to go around a buoy, and he would just, and it wasn't bad. It was good. And Joe Casino and we still work out today. We swam this morning, and Jackie, we're a little bit, older and a little bit chubbier. But
And by the way, I didn't bring the book to show. I actually brought the book as a gift for you guys.
Oh, no
my
way.
God.
I was going to sign it, but this was for you guys.
Well, you sign our can and you can sign the book then.
Well, listen, we could keep
Rusty,
on.
thank you so much.
Oh, that's we could keep on going, but already we're hitting like almost 2 hours.
Let me ask him our anonymous guest question.
Okay.
That was left here for you.
Oh yes, we got to.
Now,
we got to
keep
ask
in
you this
mind,
question.
I think this is a bit tongue in cheek.
Okay.
Rusty, I love your work. Do you have any plans of traveling to Monmouth County to photograph some real rowers?
Oh, yeah, it's a little tongue in cheek. Yeah.
The answer is that you see the Monmouth County lifeguards always at nationals. They're always one or two. So even though I don't get up to the races very much, I really appreciate Monmouth County very, very much.
There you go.
They show up.
Very diplomatic answer.
Well, I mean, they really do show up, and I don't know who Billy George rows for. Is that Ocean County? I mean, is that Long Branch?
No, I don't know.
Georges?
That's a good
The
question.
Georges?
I
mean, he's a winner at nationals. All the
yeah,
time.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I thought he was South Jersey.
No.
No, he's up here. No, really?
Well, I
don't
think
know.
that it's at least Long Branch. I'm not positive. It's
Yeah, that's a
Long
good point.
Branch,
I'm getting brain.
Billy
Yeah.
George. Let's see if I can.
I could tell you about Ocean and Monmouth County, and you have Allen Beach State Park, you got Seaside Heights, Seaside Park, Berkeley. It goes all the way up Point Pleasant. Every beach patrol here, we get huge volumes of people. So lifeguarding, we're lifeguarding. It's no joke on these beaches. That's number one. Number two is we have such great athletes. Number three, we have such great professionals. I mean, you guys like Timmy Hartman at Seagirt and Spring Lake. I mean, we had the individual today. These are police officers. They're lifeguards. I mean, our guest today was not only a former lifeguard, and he's a lifeguard now, but a police officer and a fire chief. Mm-hmm. And the level of expertise that we have is I don't think people realize what level it is, and the competition. Oh yeah. But there's definitely a South Jersey, North Jersey. There's definitely a little, but it's good though.
It's politics. It's always bothered me, but the politics between local South Jersey and nationals has always bothered me.
Yeah.
They have the races at the same time, and
let's coexist.
I've always wanted to bring nationals to Atlantic City, and I worked at it for a while, but it didn't happen.
Well, that's why you have the Chiefs Association. You have the USLA and all of that politics.
Maybe if we grow this platform a little bit, we could use it to help push that.
Well, one of the things that we try to do here is we don't get into that. I mean, I think that we're all brothers, we're all sisters. I like the essence of what we do. We save people's lives. I have kids in here who we talk all the time. They may not do anything else in their life as far as saving somebody's life, but they legitimately save people's lives. And we had a kid this year. He was 16 years old. He was a junior lifeguard for many years, and was multiple rescues going on. And he was on the stand. I said, "Go, go, go!" And he got the woman. We were backing him up, but he saved her life. She was legitimately going down. And I said to him, I got him on the stand, and I said, you just saved a woman's life. How does it feel? And he was like, wow, I says, yeah. And the rest of his life, he may become an accountant, whatever, never in that situation, but where we save people's lives. And that's an amazing thing. Yeah. It's very rewarding. Yeah. So what were you going to say? I'm sorry.
Well, this George guy, Billy George, is from Long Branch.
Long Branch, okay.
Yeah. And, you bring up that rookies rescue, sometimes, but I think what's more impressive is Nico's story. So we have a young gentleman. He's 19 years old now, and him and his brother have been in our junior lifeguards since they were like 8 years old. I mean, I watched these kids grow up, and 2 times in one summer when he was 14 years old, he made legit serious rescues on his surfboard, after bathing hours, was then given the civilian equivalent of the Medal of Honor.
How cool is that?
Right?
Yeah.
And none of us knew about it until he came on air, and his mom called in and she told us about it.
So
he never told a soul.
And the corollary to that, the reason why is that he was in ROTC for whatever, for that age group, so he was given. So because of that, in that program, I guess it's a junior ROTC. He got a medal from the government, equivalent to Medal of Honor, which is amazing.
That brings up something that I found out when I was looking into the history of the life-saving service, and the Massachusetts Humane Society, which was kind of like not like ran side by side with the life-saving service, but also came a little bit before it. They were kind of coexisting, but their original system was built around medals. So they didn't have like keepers or lifesavers at any type of stations anywhere. What they had was like a list of basically like medals and compensation for making a rescue. So if someone is drowning in a lake and you go get them, you get a medal and like enough money for like a month's wages or whatever it was. And that was how they incentivized people to help swimmers in distress.
Yeah, paying
way back then.
Well, with Nico, what was interesting, he got that award because he was in that program. He was also a junior volunteer fireman. So they awarded him a very prestigious award in that venue. I mean, I'm talking about, he was up in, I don't know, New York City, Atlantic City, all these. And we never knew about it until his mom called up here. She called in like on the phone. and because he would never tell us.
And
It
he's
was
just sitting there all embarrassed the whole time.
yeah, at
It's
14.
like, Mom, shut up.
But anyway, so anyway, we appreciate you coming here. Really, we do. And I think that you're part of the Lifeguard family. You've been taking these. You add to the character and the richness of what we do.
I appreciate that very much.
Oh yeah, and I've had a couple of people.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. What were you going to say? Yeah.
I was going to say that when I come out onto the beach, I feel like a loner. I like to stay by myself. I don't know a lot of names. I recognize, like legends, but, I stay by myself. I love being on the beach. It's thinking time. It's creative time. And it's been a passion my whole life. So I feel very gratified, fortunate to be part of it. So thank you guys for having me.
No, it's been an honor, pleasure, and to have somebody as talented as you, and to and bring your work here, that's amazing. You're not going to stop, right? You're going to keep on going. You're not retiring anytime soon. Good.
Not really.
Good. That's what we want to hear. We want no retirement. We're going to keep going. And the technology is amazing. So Tyler, we want to just give everybody our contact information before we turn.
Shoot us an email at drkachmar@icloud.com. Any questions, concerns, requests? If you want to come on, if you want stickers, reach out. Don't feel free to leave us a review too. That'd be great. LG.association. That's our Instagram. We do a lot of other fun stuff on the Instagram that you guys should look out for. Let's see. Jersey Shore Foot and Leg Center. That's Dr. Kachmar's website, so you can get a little more information there. And if you want to call us at 732-237-4949. Call us, leave a message, call when we're on air. We'll try to get back to you. Try to leave comments, like, subscribe, and if you want to come on the show, reach out to us. We're looking for guests.
All right, so we have
do more of this.
We always ask our guests if you could sign us out, and we have on our beach patrol, we have the whole loudspeaker, and we tell everybody the beach is closing for today, and no more swimming, and at the end we say stay out, stay alive. So if you could tell us, if you could say that.
Stay out, stay alive.
Right, stay out and stay alive. All right, everyone. Thank you very much for watching us. Appreciate it.